Good morning, guys. This is Richard back at you. Friday morning, you gotta love it. Gonna be like 77 degrees today. We got little Miss Annie in the house. You gotta love it when Miss Annie's in the house and Miss Teresa's in the house behind the camera, of course. You gotta just love that too. Can't forget you, huh, Teresa? Well, we got Ruben's 01 Chevy Suburban in the house, guys. 354,000 miles. Looks, I mean, it almost looks original. Doesn't see no GM rebuilt or anything like that.
And they said the fluid was not good.
It was not good. Now, also on this unit here, we noticed that on the transfer case adapter, they had a lot of JB welds stuck up under here and stuff to keep it from leaking. But actually, I can't see the crack to show you guys because it's pretty fine. But this housing here physically does have a crack in it, and that's why it leaked out back down here on the bottom. And that's probably what cooked the tranny because it run low on fluid. So we've already got an adapter somewhere. Where'd I do with that thing? We had one off of a core that we got cleaned up. Looks really good. Don't see any cracks or anything like that, so we can save the customer a little bit of money there. Those things are getting hard to come by. Well, anyway, let's get Ruben's tranny apart. 406D, guys, you know us. We do a lot of these. It had a decal on it for the factory GM stall code and stuff like that, but it's gone, so.
I think I'm going to need some nose plugs.
Can you smell this one, Teresa?
I'm going to need nose plugs.
I can't smell it at all. I'm still lacking smell and taste, so. But I sure wish it'd come back. That steak dinner we had last night was pretty tough to eat without being able to taste it. All you can do is just dream about it. Kind of fun.
Remember what it tastes like.
Remember, yes. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of I lost my little green magnet screwdriver. I do not know where that thing went.
And you still haven't found it.
No, but we got our lock O-ring off here so we can get our drum and pump out of there real easy. See if we can get this bell housing off here. It's always nice when you can get all the bell housing bolts out. But like I said, no signs of any GM decals or stickers showing that it's a reman or anything like that. So could be original. No fluid in the connector. That's kind of odd. You don't see that very often either. None at all. We are definitely busy here at the shop, guys.
Yep.
We are covered up.
Just pan around here. There's one ready to go in. There's some over there. Here's
Diesel's over there. If you notice, we got kits laying everywhere because we're building kits for the jobs that's coming in, so we know what we can bring in the door. So no Corvette servo in here, but we're definitely going to be putting one in here just because the vehicle's heavy. Not so much for firmer shifts, but we want better clamping and stuff like that. So we'll be definitely putting a Corvette servo in there. But of course, we got a lot of things laid out. We got our wide band Z-Pack, everything laid out there, ready to go. You like that smell there, Teresa?
Oh.
We was able to actually drain the pan here through the drain. Most of these don't even come out from the factory, but that one did. So we're going to be able to see physically what's in the pan. This thing has not been off in a while. Oh, the filter fell off. Oh, it's got the wrong filter on it.
Oh.
That's why.
Okay, so there you go.
Well, you can look at the, move that out of the way.
Oh my goodness gracious. Woo!
got a lot of, like they put a Trans-X or some type of additive in it to keep it from leaking or something, but the pan don't look very good. But if you notice here, I'm gonna wipe my gloves off and I'm gonna go grab the right filter real quick because I didn't grab one for it.
You're so lucky.
I know I can't smell, huh? But if you put this up here like this, you can see how much shorter. These are the two filters. This is a 2-wheel drive, this is a 4-wheel drive. So once this filter, if it fell off the neck right here and starts sucking air around the neck right here, it's gonna burn the tranny up too. So a wrong filter is definitely a no-no.
I don't know how much closer I can.
I'm glad I can't smell it.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
almost burning my eyes.
You better use your squeegee.
We got our PWM solenoid right here. I tell you, I'm shocked all the seals ain't jumping off the solenoid there, because we're probably going to see it maybe on some drums here since they got an additive in here. Get all of our solenoids disconnected here. Now this here is physically our lockup solenoid here that goes in the pump. See it there. So if you clean it, you're going to reuse this harness or something, you just want to make sure this rattles when you clean it up. Put a new O-ring on the end of it there. Got our pressure control solenoid here. Like I said, they have an early and a late model harness too, so you don't want to get that mixed up. Our detent spring here. Got all of our bolts loose. We got our 3 10mm here. That's the longest bolts. That goes to your pillow switch. A couple short 8s. Of course, this is the better style. Pillow switch. You can actually take this apart, clean it, put some new seals in there and stuff. But the earlier style, if it doesn't have a cover on it, they had problems getting metal in here and shorting them out and stuff. So you would definitely want to get rid of that and get you a late style if you're going to do that. You have your 3 8mm bolts here that are longer than your 10s. The rest of these are all 10s. And then you have 2 short 10s here. Some of them have this little guard on there, some of them don't. I think it's just to keep fluid from splashing on the dipstick tube and stick so you can check it better. Pretty simple there. Of course, we have our pressure control solenoid, both our shift solenoids, our 3-2 downshift solenoid, and then our PWM solenoid. And we have our PWM valve right here, pulse width modulator. Now we're going to be blocking this on every one we do. There's just different ways of doing it.
Oh, you're not?
I am. There we go. But this one here is the most easiest one to block, guys. All I do is take and, let me get some check balls here. All I do is take and put a check ball into there, stick a check ball in there, put the springs back in like this. Set the valve back in there, short in first, put it all the way in, put your plug in the end. Now you will have to push pretty hard on this to get the clip back in here, but that will physically block it. So this is the easiest style to block right here. Put 2 check balls, put the spring back in, and put it back together. See what type of forward accumulator piston we have. Of course, we have a really nice looking plastic one here that we always replace. Get you a nice aluminum one and put in there. Scotch-Brite this up really good in here before you put the new one in. The plastic ones we always get rid of because they always crack right down here on the shank here. Starts wobbling. So you always want to get rid of that. Of course, all of our check balls are still there. They're not stuck or beat through the case. A lot of times you'll see this check ball right here beat through the case, or through the plate here, excuse me. You can actually pair that with a repair kit. You can actually clean it up too and put a little bit bigger ball right here too, so it's not too hard to do.
You're gonna owe me another steak dinner.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't smell it, but I can feel it breathing it in.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our plate here. We got our round hole, square hole. It says here valve body, says case on the other side. Just make sure you have your round hole, square hole gaskets and you'll be fine. Your accumulator piston right here, your fourth gear, we always block it, of course. We don't beat a check ball in the case, we just block it.
I think somebody had asked one time to show how you did it.
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
On our last video.
Yeah.
Couple.
All we do is just take two pistons, or take this original one. We even use the original seal. Put a new seal on this one. What we'll do is we'll take, if you've ever seen 350 pump washers, they're rubber. You can put 3 of them and stack them right here. Put this back together like this. It'll set in there perfect, just like that. But when you put the 3 spacers or washers in there, it lifts it up about that high and it puts it flush right in here. So in other words, this will be sitting in there just like that.
So the new one's up and the old one's down?
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's going to be totally blocked when you do it. But we try to get the piston as high as we can flush here. Not above it, but it has to be flush or a tiny below. That way this here isn't being lifted up and not sealing.
Sure.
So, and then we have our...
You're lucky I've asked you questions at all.
Of course, we have our intermediate accumulator here. Now, this is the ones I like a lot. It's a second design. It's got a tall shoulder right here. It don't take much of a spring to get this piston up flush to the top. But we're definitely going to put a new piston here that's got a long shank on it. That way it's more stable, a lot longer shank. You can see it there. That way it keeps it from rocking. A lot of these will start rocking, the seal gets hard, next thing you know this piston starts rubbing on the side here. So as long as you want to check here for wear. Scotch-Brite this up really good too when you put it back together with a new piston seal. Pretty simple. Of course you're going to have one check ball right here. Just want to put that back in there.
Come on, let's throw it in the pile.
Let's throw it in the pile. Of course, we put our finger on our park linkage right here, turn the output shaft, lock it in park. Now you can get to that bolt right there. Same way, putting it back together, you got to do the same thing. Just lock that lever into park right there, and then you can get to it. So if not, you'll try to cross thread this bolt right here because the socket's going to be crooked. It will not go. We talked about boost valves, how you can change a boost valve inside a car, stuff like that, in the pan. Here's your boost valve right here. Now, if you have a late style with an input speed sensor, the sensor covers it and you can't change it. But all the other 4060Es, you can change that in the car. So if you want to help your tranny out, all you got to do is buy you a Sonex boost valve. Real simple. Pull your pan, do a service, come in here, get you some pliers like this, and you can get in here and pull that out. Just like that. Comes right out. Of course, my pliers come apart, or my snap ring pliers come apart here. These are kind of different. I've never had a pair like this. I can get that out of there. Well, I can't get it out of there. The valve and spring is still down in there. Let's see if I can do it this way. The valve isn't magnetic. It's kind of like some type of aluminum coated. My tools are scattered. I got tools in there. I got tools out here. I got tools everywhere. There we go. Of course, you can see your two springs and then your valve here. You notice this valve has a 2-ring. They make a 1-ring, a 2-ring, a 5-ring. They make a multiple rings right here. Anytime you go up in the rings, the boost valve is bigger. So anytime you can go with a bigger boost valve, the better off you are. So a 500 boost valve works really good. A Sonex boost valve works really good.
But if it's a high mileage, they probably do not.
Yeah, if it's real high mileage, you probably don't want to do that. Dang, Teresa, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
You did a really good job. Next. Are you ready to tear this down, Teresa?
No.
You've built a few of these for me when I was sick.
This is one of those hurry up things. No. Yeah, probably.
You have. You've built a few.
I
Of course, you always want to double seal your bolts here. Put a new O-ring on it and put some silicone on it anyway when you put it down. You can see the O-ring right there. Be new ones in the kit. Replace them all. Still put a little sealant on here. Put it in, tighten it down. Let's see if our pump's any good. Hopefully we got a good pump. Feels really good through our suction and filter side, or pressure side. Change your bushings. Now we started doing, since Sonex come by and we started doing, they sent us to this little class and taught us a bunch of stuff on vacuum testing these pumps and stuff. So we're going to do a video here pretty soon on how to vacuum test pumps in different places in this tranny to verify that your valves ain't physically wore out in your valve body here. So, and in your pump. Get that out of there. Come on. There we go. So, but here's your pressure regulator valve here. But like I said, we're going to be showing, coming up with a video here pretty soon that's going to be showing you how to vacuum test your valve body, or your valve body, your pump, and your valve body, your case, and stuff like that to find out if your bores are wore. So that's really, we've caught a few things already since we started doing it their way, and it's been really nice. You can see here where the converter's been running. Actually needs a spacer behind the converter and flywheel to get that converter into a little bit deeper into that gear. It's barely halfway, or into the lug right here. You can see it. "13 vein. Got your pump guide. And they do make multiple ones of these here, depending on if it's a 10 vein, 13 vein, or whatever. So they all don't retrofit. Pump slide springs. Pump slide. Starting to see it wearing down through here. So you can see it right there. Starting to get through the bluing. We always see a lot of times pin wear. We replace a lot of these pins here. You know, they start getting wore. Letting this run not as true as it should. Got your pin spring. So you can go in here and Scotch-Brite this up. This still looks really nice. Put a new pump bushing in it, seal. Not odd wearing on the pump bushing or nothing. Looks really good, even all the way around. You don't see that very often with this type of mileage for sure. Normally we see brass on the bottom of the pump bushing. with a crankshaft is setting low in the motor. Get our band anchor here out. Get in there. There it goes. Now you can pull this out. Of course, you have your band anchor like that. Pretty simple. Stock band, and like I said, we don't go back with anything stock anymore, so going to get a really nice wide band put in here. You can see the color what's that word? Discoloration on this drum here. You can't feel none of that. Looks really nice. You definitely want to check it for levelness. Make sure it's not bowed in the middle. Then put your straight edge on here. Put your a flashlight behind it. Make sure it ain't like this, but it looks really nice. So, and also, even though your drum looks nice sometimes, if you look here where your shell runs, see how much that drum's wore right in here? Mm-hmm. Where that shell's been cutting into it?
Oh, it is, yeah.
See, so just because your drum here is good, you better look here. Look how bad that drum's cut. That shell's cut into that drum right there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's bad. So, we would put a drum in here. That there's just going to be a noisy, something won't be right with it. So, of course, we have our 3/4 clutch, guys. I think it's wore just a little bit. Got a little bit of excessive clearance in there. Like I said, this thing had a leak at the transfer case adapter, and I'm sure they run it low on fluid and just cooked it. Got your load springs here.
Those are over there.
Yeah, load springs are pretty low. So what we do is we get a new one over there and check the height on them and see what it looks like. So them are cooked. But we'll still be putting a Z-pack in here, getting rid of those 6 there. Let's see what our forward clutch looks like. Of course, you can see here our forward clutches start getting hot too. You can see this one here is got a little brown to it, a little color. But you can tell them we're starting to slip too when it started running low on fluid. So, bonded pistons in the drum. I say we replace all of our pistons in these because they always shrink up really bad. Like I said, when we do our Sonex vacuum test video, I'm going to show you some really neat stuff on that drum right there, how to test it. So we're really excited to have this video coming shortly. Now on the forward Sprag assembly, when they got these brass washers, they're always going to be wore out and have a lip right here. Big old lip. 90% of the time this is wore out all through here. You have to replace the hub. Of course, we'll put a dual cage forward Sprag in there and get rid of that single cage. And what I mean by, see how it's got 1 ring holding it together? The later version has 2 rings holding it together, so a lot better Sprag assembly. Of course, there's that other brass ring too. The new Sprag has metal ones that we're going to be using. Not any wear that way. Of course, you want to Scotch-Brite this up. Make sure there's no chatter marks anywhere. Sun gear, look at it on both sides. Put some new bushings in there. Your outer ring gear, you want to make sure there's no dents in it from the Sprag chattering or trying to lock. Scotch-Brite that up really good. Looking pretty good so far. Not going to take a core to repair it. That makes it nice. That's one thing I hate doing is having to tear a core down just to build a tranny. A lot of times. Well, unfortunately, we do have a brass washer here, but fortunately, we're going to put a roller bearing back here. We're going to update this hub here to the late version where this will physically have a roller bearing instead of this old junky thrust washer there. that. Main thing here is you got to look at these hubs a lot because they make an early and a late model hub. And what you'll get into, we have seen where this bearing right here won't set down in there. See that? So you got to be careful. They make two different size bearings here. They make a wider and a wide and a narrow. So you got to be careful on what you're doing here. This planetary is keeping this bearing centered. The way it sets in here, it's got a little ledge right here, keeps it centered. Well, some of the earlier ones didn't have that ledge, and this hub here kept the bearing center. So you got to just be really careful on what you're doing. It won't go together if you try to put it together wrong. You won't get the pump in and stuff like that, or get the snap ring in on the shaft. Something will be wrong. Yep, that support's turned quite a bit in the case. Yeah, this case might not be any good. I'm going to drop this on the floor real quick and just try to see if I can knock that out there. Whether the case is good or not, we want to get all the good parts out of here that we can. That way we're not just having to replace everything out of there. So we have our low reverse clutch here. Annie's running. Annie, where you running?
Yeah.
Heard some noise. So we will be leaving the wave in here. It's not a race car or anything like that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, dizzy.
I'm telling you, plastic thrust washer here. You can put a brass 4-tab washer in here too. When you look at your outer or your inner race on your lower Sprag assembly, Scotch-Brite this up really good. Put a new Sprag in it. That way, which we're going to put a hardened shell in here and get rid of this one here because this is not. It's just the early design shell. Sun gear, you want to look at both sides of your teeth on the gear. Change your bushing. Planetary, check for wobbling. Anything like that. Check for pin discoloration or anything like that, pitting of the gears. Same way here on this outer ring gear, you want to check it for any type of wear, pitting or anything like that on either side of the teeth here. Your output shaft, stuff like that. Annie's getting close now. She's scared. So what we got here, guys, we're going to get a flashlight tree. It's going to shine down in here. Anytime you get this much wear in a case, you can see down in here where your center support has been locking in right there. You can see how it's almost got it cut in half. The lugs right there that keep it in there. If you come farther around, see that wide one there? This one here's, look at this one here. It's almost totally gone where it's cut it in half all the way around. Look at that. So this case here is pretty much is toast, especially being a 4-wheel drive. We're going to go back out in the trailer and get another case and put in there, and along with a little bit of everything else. So you know how it is, guys. 354,000 miles, and it kind of looks original, so it could have it on there. It'd be hard to believe, but you just never know. Well, Teresa, you know we want to thank you for videoing. We just love you to death for doing that for us. Everybody wants to thank you, I'm sure. There you go.
They only like the fluid in the face.
No, they don't. They just love you too. But guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. We got a nice 48 RE Dodge Diesel coming up that's got all the crazy shafts. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful build. So we're going to be really excited on tearing that down and showing you all the parts that we're going to be using in it too. So plenty more to come. stay tuned, and y'all have a great Friday and a great weekend.